Hello everyone, good afternoon. Hopefully you can all hear and see me okay. Thank you very much for joining us at this Your Overseas Home webinar, where we'll be talking all about the Spanish Golden Visa Programme. It's titled Now or Never, because we are very closely, nearly at the end of the programme, which we'll find out a little bit more about in this session. Today we're going to be chatting with Riccardo Ipoliti from Holborn Pass and Dusan Marinkovic, Head of Client Relations at Orience. Thank you both for being here. Riccardo, I'll pass over to you just briefly to do a bit of an introduction to yourself and explain a little bit about how Holborn Pass can help us and our listeners today.
Yes, thank you, Seb, and hi, Dusan. Thank you very much, and thank you, everyone, for joining. As you said, it's the last weeks before there's going to be some big changes coming up for the Spanish regulations and Spanish Golden Visa, as a matter of fact. So I'm Riccardo Ipoliti. I'm a lawyer here in Spain. I'm based in Malaga, very close to Marbella, while Dusan is based in Barcelona, so we're both here in Spain. At Holborn, what we do is we assess the eligibility for our clients when it comes to investment, and also specifically the way the world has changed lately, investment when it comes to immigration. So that could be investment into a passport directly, citizenship by investment, or residency by investment, and this is the specific case that we're talking about today. So today we'll be talking about specifically about how the Spanish Golden Visa still works, because it still does exist, and we've got the last chances here today in order to get into the final stages. For Spain specifically, and now we'll get into more details, there's no possibility of getting into the citizenship right away. It's about a gradual transition. First of all, residency, then permanent residency, and then at the end, you can even apply for citizenship. But we'll get into details in a few minutes.
Perfect. Thank you, Riccardo, and obviously thank you for joining us. I know it's always quite a busy start to the new year, so I really appreciate your time and knowledge. And Dusan, I'll just pass over to you. If you could do the same and just give us a brief overview of yourself and obviously Orience and how you can help our listeners today.
Thank you, Seb. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here again. I'm Dusan. I'm Head of Client Relationship at Orience and Bandrock Capital. So today I will be actually in charge of providing more details about the property and how obtaining a property can qualify you for the Golden Visa. What are the benefits of having a property in Spain, and in general talking about property investment in Spain. I won't keep too long of an introduction because I would prefer maybe for attendees to have more time for questions. So I think we can start now.
Yeah, Dusan, thank you as well. We say we have around 30 minutes, but I know there'll be hopefully quite a few questions coming in. My name is Seb Bampton. I'm one of the account managers over here at Your Overseas Home and the Spain Property Guides. Our aim throughout this session is to basically help everyone listening in understand how to move across to Spain, but also with that focus on the Spanish Golden Visa Programme. So if you are looking to buy in Spain, you're listening in, you are one step ahead of everyone else. You're in the right place, and it's great to have you here with us. As Dusan mentioned, the format of this session will be a presentation from Riccardo and Dusan, and then we'll have a sort of question and answer style session. At the bottom right hand side of everyone's screens, there should be a questions tab. Please feel free to drop questions in there as we go through the presentation. Any questions that you have prior to this session, please add them in there. If you want to test it all out now, you can maybe type in where you're looking in Spain, and we can get some idea of what everyone's looking to do over there. And if there's any problems at all, we do disconnect, please just rejoin and hopefully you can join us. So 30 minutes, don't take up any more time. We'll go straight into it. Riccardo, I believe I'm passing over to you first for your initial presentation. So yeah, over to you.
Yes, thank you again. All right, so as Dusan said, I think the best thing to do would be to get into the specifics, into the details. Because we don't have much time apart from today, I think the best thing would be to understand what are the tangible options that we can refer to, given the short time that we've given before being able to apply for the visa. So deadline to apply for the visa is going to be the 2nd of April of 2025. After such date, there won't be any possibility of qualifying or being eligible for this type of visa. This is why Dusan and I will be more than happy to be answering questions, and even after this session, after this webinar here today, we can do one-on-one emails or phone calls in order to make sure that we can assist you. Now, when it comes to the visa, we need to, first of all, remind ourselves that it's not so much about the eligibility of the person. Okay, so we're not talking about skill migration here. We're talking about a visa that qualifies the moment you have understood what type of investment you want to make in and what you want to invest into. Now, without getting into details about the other type of investments, again, because of the time that we don't have, the most interesting and most convenient type of investment is investing into property, and specific type of properties that we usually call as a package. So in this case, Dusan will get into more specifics, but we're talking about an investment that has to be of at least 500,000 euros. And by investing 500,000 euros, you'll be getting back pretty much instantly. It has to be done as a transaction, but then you'll get it back. You'll get back 150,000 euros. So this is the main point. Okay, this is the way the transactions will be working. And by purchasing a property, and obviously there's a specific process here, and myself as head of Spain here at Holborn, I'll be able to assist you throughout the entire process together with our team, and obviously together with Dusan as well. We'll be assisting you in the first stage, which is the purchasing of the property. As I said, it's not about what type of property, what type of house, what type of apartment. There's a specific package here that we have that we can provide you with, which is the San Blas Hotel in Madrid. And once that is done, and once the property has been transferred in your favor, then that's when we can move on to the visa process. Okay, and as I said before, the visa has to be applied before 2nd of April, by the 2nd of April. And that is the second stage. So to put it in a nutshell, there's the property, purchase of the property. Once the property has been purchased and the title deed has been transferred into your favor, and it can be one person only, it doesn't have to be. So we're talking about a couple, we're talking about a family, it's just one property purchase. The rest of the family, the couple, the partner can follow. So obviously, in this case, we're talking about one investment only, the rest of the family can benefit from it. Okay, the visa per se can be applied for the visa from offshore, so in this case from outside of Spain, or otherwise you can enter Spain and then the rest of the procedure can be done from Spain itself. So there's different ways of doing this, and again, because we want to make sure that we can make the most out of this, we would like to make sure that we can talk to each single person who's listening to us today, who's looking at us in video as well. In this way, we can obviously assist you on a case-by-case type of situation. I think I'll pass it on to you, Dusan, at this stage, getting into more specifics about the investment so we can move forward since we're 10 minutes into the webinar.
Thank you, Riccardo. So I'm here to present Hotel San Blas. It's a hotel that Benrock we are currently developing in Madrid. It is located in a district called Canillejas, which is essentially, for those who have visited Madrid, it's an area between Salamanca and the airport. It's currently the technological hub of Madrid with Microsoft and Google having offices there. It has the highest 5G internet speed, which is what attracted them there. So this is a 3-star hotel that is currently under construction. What you see in front of you are now renderings, and essentially everything will be just a simple 3-star hotel with a rooftop bar, restaurants, and maybe more, I want to say, targeted towards business professionals and people visiting Madrid for work. I'm going to jump straight into the financials. I think that's what everyone wants to hear and understand. I'm sorry that I'm skipping obviously all of these photos. So first and foremost, as Riccardo mentioned, the investment required is 500,000 euros. What that will grant an investor is a room in this hotel plus a percentage of a common area. Also, as Riccardo mentioned, we as developer, we guarantee 3% income for the 10-year period of operations of the hotel. However, instead of paying them annually, 3% or 15,000 euros annually, we commit to paying them immediately once you invest. So once you sign the title deed for purchasing this investment, you will receive essentially 30% or 3% per annum for a 10-year period upfront yield. Another benefit of this investment is that the VAT is entirely covered by us. So whenever you're purchasing a brand new asset in Madrid, you're paying 21% VAT, and that is covered entirely by us. The next benefit we offer is the guaranteed buyback. If for everyone who has previously inquired about this industry, you're probably familiar with the guaranteed buyback. So what that essentially means is that the hotel operator, Soho Boutique Group, is guaranteeing buyback after 10 years of operations of the hotel. That essentially means that your initial 500,000 euros you have invested is going to be paid to you after 10 years of the operations of the hotel. And lastly, you will also, each investor investing in this project will have a 7-day complimentary stay in any Soho boutique hotel in Spain, which they currently have around 40, if I'm not mistaken. To sum it up, it's 500,000 euro investment. The returns or the yield is 3% guaranteed per annum, paid upfront for a 10-year period. The VAT is covered by us, and after 10 years of operations, the Soho Boutique Group guarantees buyback, or you will have the initial 500,000 euro back. So the last point I want to make is the risk is being completely lowered now with us Bandrock guaranteeing the yield and Soho Boutique Group guaranteeing the buyback.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. I mean, I can talk about it for longer. However, I think
no, that's great. That's really interesting. So I know we've been working with each other for some time now. I haven't really actually looked into this particular project, but thank you for sharing. And I know we've got a few questions that have come through already. So thank you very much for everyone listening in for the questions. So I know Riccardo went into a bit of detail about the Golden Visa program, what it actually is, and dates and timings of when it's finalising and deadlines. We've got a couple of questions here. The first one's actually come through from Stephen, and he mentioned that the drop dead date for visa applications is April the 2nd. So that's when they have to have a final application in by. Does that mean by this date you must also have made the investment and the visa application, but do you not have to have received a decision by that date? So do you know where we would stand with that one? Would they have to have made the investment by April the 2nd or just applied for it?
Yeah, so both. So we have to apply for the visa. So we need to have the property purchased, the title deed transferred into the favour of the purchaser, and the visa application has to be lodged by the 2nd of April. So if the time of application requirement that has to be met, then decisions will come after. So it doesn't have to be, there's no decision that has to be made by that date. As long as we put in the application and submit the application by the 2nd of April, then we're fine. Then obviously there will be some weeks. So anyway, typically 3 weeks to wait for, but that's the deadline that we need to follow. So it's the purchase of the property and the application, not the result. Okay, the result is something that comes in after. We don't have to worry about that part. So we have to focus on the 2 stages. Purchase of the property, which as Dusan explained, there's important details that we need to get into in order to make sure that everything is clear, and then the actual visa application. Once that is done, both parts have been done, then we can, you're safe and you'll be able to benefit from the visa later on.
If I can just add to what Riccardo said, because I see a lot of questions that are very similar. The process for Golden Visa is you purchase a property, we collect the documents, we submit your application once you already have purchased the property. So all of these previous steps need to be completed for us to submit. So property has to be purchased, documents have to be collected, and sworn translated to Spanish before we can submit the application. Submission of the application is what's getting people grandfathered or investors grandfathered into the current most flexible version of the law.
Okay, thank you, Riccardo and Dusan. So that's really, really useful information. So property purchase needs to be finalised before April the 2nd. Just for some of our listeners, I have got an idea of how long the process takes, but some of the listeners may be first-time buyers over in Spain. How long does that process normally take from finding a potential property to putting an offer down, completing? Is there a rough ballpark or average of how long that process can take?
Absolutely. Riccardo, if you don't mind, I'll take over this one. When you purchase a property in Spain, it's quite different to any other real estate market, actually. I've lived in many different countries, lastly in Dubai, and UK as well has very fast and program for acquiring property. The entire process is quite fast. Unfortunately, that's not the case with Spain, particularly if the investment is being made in a residential property. If acquiring a residential property essentially means that whoever is your representative, legal representative, will have to do compliance to make sure that the source of funds it comes from legal source of funds. Then whoever is the seller has to do the exact same thing, which extends the time or process of purchasing. Then it goes to offer letter, from after a reservation fee first, then offer letter, then purchase and sale agreement, then title deed. Once we have the title deed, once the title deed is signed, you submit it for registry or land department for them to issue a certificate. The time between title deed and registry certificate usually is between 6 to 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. So the whole process of getting a residential property can last minimum 2 months, sometimes even more.
Sure. Okay, that's really clear, Dusan. Thank you. I think just wanted to get an idea of timescale. So I know we do have a deadline of April the 2nd to get this moving.
Yeah. I just want to I will probably keep pointing this out because I want really to stick to everyone that before April 2nd, what we need to do is have property purchased, documents collected, and application submitted.
Sure. And just going back to, I know you mentioned there's certain bits of the process that need to be completed before offers being made, such as due diligence, source of funds, and all these sort of things. Can they be done, before finding a property, so everything's a bit more sped up? Is there sort of little tricks and loopholes that you can kind of navigate to speed up the process?
Absolutely. Holborn will absolutely have the compliance done before property has been purchased. If obviously investors and attendees here choose us, Holborn and Banrock. However, if they're choosing again a residential property, seller will have to do compliance. Again, now since Holborn and us work really closely together, our compliance is one, so that significantly speeds up the process. Additionally, the investors transfer the funds directly to us as opposed to opening a bank account in Spain, waiting for it to be opened, and then transferring the funds to their Spanish bank account before it can be transferred to a seller of a residential property.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. And that's very clear. So just got a quick question here from Leslie, which I'll answer. Is will this be recorded? Yes, this will be recorded, and we'll send it and post it online as well, so you can access it whenever you'd like. We've got a few more questions coming in, so thank you very much for keeping them coming. One here from Nilesh is around the alternative golden visa in the future. I know no one's got a crystal ball, Dusan or Riccardo, but once this program is finalised and completed, what's the future looking like for something, a similar offering or a similar program coming out? Do you have any insight into that at all?
Riccardo, if you don't mind, I'll take over this one as well. So the future, obviously, Golden Visa at the moment is the most flexible program to get a visa in Spain. You can, Golden Visa allows you to live, work, and study in Spain completely freely, or not visit Spain at all. Non-lucrative visa is going to be an alternative, or digital nomad. They're kind of both two faces of the same coin. However, non-lucrative visa will require that you actually live in Spain and spend 183 days in Spain minimum in order to be able to renew it. Digital nomad visa still doesn't, but we don't know if that's going to change or not. So for everyone considering Golden Visa, it's definitely the current version of the law is the most flexible and allows most freedom.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I know there's been a few questions around that, and so that was very useful to understand the other options that are slightly different, but they are still there, given potential criteria and unique requirements. In regards to the actual process then, I know we don't have a great deal of time to get find the right property, finalise on that sort of thing. So what would you advise as the next steps for the listeners if they are looking to take advantage of the Golden Visa programme? What would be the next steps in regards to the process? Would it be to reach out to you first, or find a property first? How does it all work from that side of things?
Can I just add? Thank you. So, well, as Dusan said, because certain countries have their own timeline when it comes to bureaucracy, and Spain is probably not the best. It's got other aspects that are very positive, but when it comes to bureaucracy, these parts are probably not the quickest. So, if we think about this, we're almost pretty much at the mid of this month in January, and if we're talking about beginning of April, we don't have that much time left. So, in this case, obviously, all the options of the visa are still open. But if we want to be realistic and we want to I was looking at one of the questions, what visa allows me to work and live in Spain? Well, we're talking about this visa specifically allows you to do both. So given this type of situation, I wouldn't wait too long and understand what will be the alternative. We don't know exactly. We need to understand what will be the downside of the other visas that also Dusan mentioned. So right now that we know that this visa gives it to you all, for yourself and for your family, we will look into the possibility of the investment, and specifically what we're presenting here with Dusan here today and what you said will be the best option, because there's not too much to choose. Okay, so it's not about the type of apartment. Then obviously things can change and can move forward once the visa's actually been granted. But to move into the deadline and get within the time frame that we need to meet, then as you mentioned before as well, the most important thing to be aware of is that at Holborn and together with Dusan, what we do is we prepare the paper application behind the line. So we assess the application of the individual, of the applicant, together with the family. We understand the source of funds in order to then lodge the application when we're ready, have everything behind the line ready, while in the meantime we're purchasing the property. That will be the best and most realistic option, because if we want to be, again, realistic, certain things may not have sufficient time to do it, just because of all the bureaucracy that we have here in Spain for certain aspects.
I think it's a really good point. Thank you for highlighting, Riccardo. If you are seriously thinking about taking advantage of this, great program that the Spanish government are offering, there isn't a great deal of time. I know we hosted one of these webinars a few months ago, and there's a bit more time to play with. But now we are, really near that deadline. So I'm not saying all options are limited, but we are definitely limited by what we can do in regards to the timeframes of getting a property found, purchased, and finalised to take advantage of this. We've got a question from Sandra, Riccardo and Dusan around other potential properties. I know we've got this project here on the screen that Dusan you've been talking about. What does it look like in regards to other potential projects that you have? Is there anything else that you could showcase to potential listeners today or investors?
Absolutely. So what we can do, we're currently obviously presenting this particular project as it's the fastest to obtain. However, we don't have residential website or any sort of media for residential properties, as we are not the ones building them. We have a real estate team that can help all investors source properties, and particularly in Spain, this is very interesting question actually. I think Riccardo will agree as well. For everyone who hasn't explored real estate market in Spain, this is very interesting to hear. So in order to become a real estate agent in Spain, you don't really have to have a license or any test passed. You can wake up one day, register yourself as a freelancer, and call yourself a real estate agent. What that does is offers a lot of fake listings on sites like Idealista or other websites that facilitate sourcing properties. So that's why we have a real estate team that can help the client find properties if they want residential properties, to source those that actually exist from verified agents and verified companies, so that we can speed up the process there.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. Thank you, Dusan. We've got a few more questions. One really good question actually here is around once someone is approved for the Golden Visa over in Spain, would they then lose their UK status or status elsewhere, wherever it is that they're a citizen? How does that work in regards to residency? And also, Riccardo, maybe a question for you, being from Holborn, what are the tax implications on assets that they have abroad, perhaps in the UK, if they were to go through and become a golden visa applicant?
Yes, well, this has to be checked based on, there's a few factors here. I'm probably not able to answer right away. I'm not sure if you do want to add something based on the information that we have from the question that we're reading here about the implications, not so much about the UK status, because I mean, that doesn't impact. I mean, you can still have a status in both countries, but it's more about the tax aspects that usually refers to the days where you're living, based on the days where you've been living presence in Spain or not. As Dusan said before, there's no requirement on living in Spain throughout the time until you actually then become eligible to apply for citizenship. Until then, you can stay in Spain the days that you wish. And obviously, in that case, that may or not trigger the taxation aspects to come into force based on the country where you've got assets or other aspects. Okay, so that will be something that obviously has to be checked a little bit more carefully, because obviously it's one of those things that has to be understood based on your type of situation. And obviously in this case, on the issues, I was asking this question here.
Thanks, Riccardo.
Absolutely, Riccardo.
Yeah, as you say, do you have anything to add in?
Yeah, just to add, basically to sum up what Riccardo mentioned, is having a golden visa in Spain does not equal tax residency. What triggers a tax residency is obviously where a person lives, and that's measured by number of days spent. So 183 days in Spain would trigger tax residency.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I mean, there is a risk, and I've been working within the people, helping people buy property in Spain for a number of years now. There is a risk of potentially being taxed in both countries if you're not careful. So I would definitely suggest having a conversation with Dusan and Riccardo and the teams to understand how you can make sure that you're protected from that, because nobody wants to be taxed twice. Once is enough. We got a question that's come through around the healthcare side of things. I know with visas, generally speaking, there needs to be some sort of healthcare cover. What does that look like in regards to the Golden Visa program for applying?
I'll take over this, Riccardo, if you don't mind. For non-lucrative visa, require that you have a private healthcare contracted, and this is something that is actually really important to mention. During the entire validity of a golden visa, private healthcare needs to be contracted. The investor needs to be covered by private healthcare during the entirety of validity of golden visa in order for them to be able to renew it. If they hire contract private healthcare for only a year or two, and then discontinue it because you have access to use the public as well, you might not be able to renew your golden visa, and thus might lose it. So it is really important that private healthcare insurance has been contracted and a person has been covered during the entire validity of golden visa and non-lucrative visa.
Sure. Okay, perfect. That's really clear. And just on that note, is it something that you can help with? Do you have the contacts to connect them with, I presume?
Absolutely, yeah. We have several different insurance companies based in Spain that can absolutely provide quotes and assist with having private healthcare.
Sure. And on the I know you mentioned about renewing golden visas. We've got a question for Nicola around how long is the golden visa valid for, or how often does someone need to actually renew the golden visa?
The initial visa is issued for 3-year validity, and then after the first one, it's issued for 5 years.
Okay, perfect.
So first renewal is in 3, and then 5 years thereafter.
Brilliant. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So I know we've run out of time on the webinar. We've got a couple more questions. Dusan and Riccardo, are you okay just to hang about for a few more while we get through them all?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Good stuff. So I know there's the benchmark of investing €500,000, and we've obviously gone through the deadline dates and things like that. If our listeners today are thinking about taking advantage of the projects that's on the screen, or perhaps other projects that you may have, what are the next steps for it? They contact you? Do they have a video call? Do they in-person meetings? Do they need to be there in Spain? What does that process look like?
Ideally, they should contact Riccardo and Holborn. and then they will have a complimentary meeting with Riccardo and sometimes myself, and we can because we do want to provide a tailor-made solution. We do, even though the program is very generic and accepts pretty much everyone who has invested, we do want to give a little bit more of a personal, tailor-made touch to understand the needs and the requirements of each client and investor. Sorry, Riccardo, if you want to add something, I jumped in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry, because I was having some issues with the microphone. I had to move. So yes, absolutely. We would like to, and that's the emphasis that we want to put on at this stage. We really want to be able to have phone calls, video calls. I mean, if somebody's in Madrid or in Barcelona or in Marbella, then obviously we can meet up in person. But I mean, the next stage would be to have phone calls or anyway, consultation in order to understand your needs and understand how we can assist you. By all means, absolutely, that's what we want to do, especially given the 2.5 months that we've got left.
Brilliant. Thank you both very much. I say thank you very much to all our listeners as well. I know there's been quite a few questions. What we'll do is we'll pass over all of your questions to Riccardo and Dusan, the team at Holborn as well, so they can perhaps follow up with you. If you do have some pressing questions or would like to arrange for a call or a meeting, please do reach out across to them as well. We will pass over their contact details to you, and I'm sure they'll be happy to help. Speed is very much of the essence on this Golden Visa program, and hopefully we've managed to explain the deadlines to you and what needs to be done in preparation for that deadline. Now, what we'll do, so I'll pass back across to Riccardo and Dusan, just say thank you very much for being here. If there's anything else that we've missed or anything else that we've covered, I would advise that you strongly get in touch with them. And for everyone listening in, again, best of luck with the property searches, best of luck with your plans over in Spain. And Dusan and Riccardo, thank you again for your knowledge and experience, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you, Seb. Just one thing, sorry, because I was looking at a question here from Sandra. What I mentioned about the 3 cities was because if they want to have a meeting in person, but obviously nowadays we deal with digital internet and everything, so we can assist you anywhere. So it could be on the islands or up north in Spain, wherever, in Toledo, wherever you wish. Obviously we can assist you in any part. And again, because of the short period of time that we have, certain type of investments would be best to consider. So Sandra, if you want to have a phone call with us, with myself or Dusan, we'll be more than happy to assist you and then understand what would be the most suitable city, but we can assist you in any part of Spain, by all means.
Brilliant, thanks Riccardo. Yeah, so one last question that came in from Sandra, hopefully if that answered it clearly. And yeah, as I said, if anyone is listening in and does want to take advantage, please do get in contact with Riccardo and the team at Holborn or Dusan. There's also a link that's just popped up in the links tab, which is to leave us a review. So if you found the webinar useful and helpful, please do leave us a review. We'd really appreciate it. We also are hosting our virtual event on March the 22nd, where Holborn and I think Dusan and Riccardo, you'll be a part of it as well. You'll be able to speak to them on their virtual booth and also listen to other seminars around buying properties over in Spain. So please do follow that link and register, completely free, and it'd be great to have you there with us. And yeah, thanks again to our speakers. Say your knowledge, experience and help is invaluable. So thank you very much for your time. And thanks again for everyone listening in.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Have a good day.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.